A day after Libya's leader, Muammar Qaddafi, was killed, NATO officials plan to meet today to discuss how to wrap up the 7-month bombing campaign over that country. And as Libya enters a new era, is the turmoil really over for the nation? Joining us now with more insight is Reza Jan, Critical Threats Project Analyst at the American Enterprise Institute. And you caught us talking on camera. Good morning, first off, to you. Thanks for being with us. We're talking about just how this, the end of Qaddafi's life happened. We heard about a convoy, and then we saw that video of what it looked like, almost him being dragged there through the streets a bit. Can you tell us about his final moments?
Actually, one of the problems is that his final moments are still so unclear, and that's one of the reasons why they're delaying the burial. There was reports of a convoy leaving Sirte. Reportedly, NATO coalition bombed the convoy, or bombed near the convoy as warning shots, and a gunfight that ensued between Qaddafi loyalists and rebel fighters. And somewhere along the way, he was reportedly wounded but captured alive, as we saw in later video. And then, we saw the video of him being, dragged through the streets and the video of his body. So it's unclear what happened in between, those two pieces of footage. And, it's still very murky as to exactly how his end came about.
When you're watching that video, it's hard to watch, first of all, but the way that he is treated, did that come at all as a surprise? And my part two to that is that you think it would be even more severe, because this is the man who was the center of either the angst or the loyalty. What did you think about when you saw that video?
Not surprised at all. I mean, this man, ruled and brutalized Libya for 42 years. To say, whether it should have been more severe, can't really tell. It's mob rule out there once they've got his hands on him, but you can definitely understand the anger and the resentment towards him.
Quite an ending to a man whom we're so used to seeing so decorated in his dress and all of that. Quite an ending to his life.
An ostentatious man brought to a very unostentatious man.
Well said. Let's talk about what happens now. We talked about the loyalists and the rebels. What happens with all that fighting now?
Well, the rebels have taken the town of Sirte, which was the last main Qaddafi stronghold. And, the killing of Qaddafi and the taking of Sirte really are the capstones in the revolution. It provides them the opportunity to now move forward, because the National Transitional Council, which is the internationally recognized rebel leadership, declared that once Sirte had fallen, they were going to declare Libya free. Once they would do that, they would step down. They would then bring in another interim government, and they would oversee Libya until elections would be held 8 months from now. So the death of Qaddafi, the fall of Sirte, provides the opportunity for Libya to start its transition process to hopefully a stable democratic country.
Do you think that will happen?
It's difficult to say. There are a lot of power brokers that have emerged. Initially, the NTC was the main power broker, the main voice of the opposition. But since the fighting has dragged on, we've seen other groups, other rebel leaderships from the towns of Misrata and Tripoli and Zintan, raise their voices and separate themselves and not really recognize the NTC's authority. So it depends on how all those power brokers come to the table, how much of a voice, how much representation they're able to accord each other. I think that will be the key determining factors in this in the next few weeks and months to come. But fingers crossed.
What happens to those Qaddafi loyalists now? Are they in a difficult position?
They are, definitely. And it remains to be. I think a lot of it comes down to the opposition, the NTC. They treat the Qaddafi, the fighters who continue to fight for Qaddafi, and Qaddafi tribesmen, people from the Qaddafi tribe, because whether or not they're brought into the fold after the fighting is ended, as it seems to be winding down, will determine, I think, whether or not they make the decision to give up their arms and become part of the transition process, or whether they choose to, take this fight into the desert and start an insurgency.
Legitimacy to Libya, will that come soon, one day?
Hopefully. The NTC is an internationally recognized body. So far, they've been making all the right sounds in terms of, pledging a pluralistic, democratic state, with moderate leanings. So far, the engagement with the international community has been fairly robust. And if things continue to travel in that direction, I think we can hope to see that stable, democratic, friendly Libya that everybody would like to see emerge.
Reza Jan is with the American Enterprise Institute Critical Threats Project Analyst with that group. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
Steve, over to you.